of a thing. That is legit crazy. But how you blaming her for not just getting up and walking out? It don't work like that if you are in an abusive situation,
right,
at all times.
There's a whole study of abusive situations and why partners stay in the relationship because of it. There's a whole study of that.
But you talk about public opinion.
It is a court of public opinion.
That's what I'm
in
saying.
some ways too.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
just with this case as well.
I mean, in that case, are we court of public opinioning on Diddy?
I think that we
crazy.
actually saw video of him physically assaulting her. So then, I mean,
legit.
to that regard, yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't at none of the
Physically
freak offs. I can't speak on the freak offs. I know what they reporting because they have to put that
you want
evidence
that?
out there.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? I want that. But based on the evidence, a 4-day freak off is crazy.
That's wild.
You know what I'm saying?
Nasty
That's
work.
it's wild.
Bro.
You know what I'm saying?
You might get one or two about me, and then after that, I'm just tired.
2-day freak.
A 2-day freak. 2-day. I guess though. Like,
Oh my God.
How do you even conceptualize a 4-day freak off?
That's what I said.
How much freak
Like, are you
gotta-
taking a break? Like, do you go do something? You come back? Like, what do you?
In, you know what I
like-
mean? How can I get my electrolytes up? You know what I'm saying?
Yo, welcome to the cave with Mel, Troy, and Lace. The podcast where men can have a safe space. We on all platforms. You need to tune in, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Welcome to Melody, the podcast where men can have a safe space. Welcome to Melody. Welcome to the cave with Mel, Troy, and Lace.
We need to talk about Little Leg having. Bro, when I saw your legs dangling off that table in that video, I was like, is he paralyzed or something?
See,
He got paralyzed leg syndrome.
I got real legs. Okay?
they ain't blatant legs. They definitely not blatant legs.
Look, everybody know black men got chicken legs, yo.
That is not true.
That is true,
That is
bro.
not
I
true.
don't
Yes,
know
it
about
is,
that
bro.
one.
Take a poll.
I ain't
I
never
don't care
heard-
what you
I don't
say.
know.
I ain't never heard that before.
Take a poll. Everybody know black men got chicken legs.
I ain't never heard that.
That's news to me.
I'm cornbread fed anyway.
News to me.
Lace.
What?
I done seen your chicken legs.
I don't have chicken legs.
Yes, you do.
Actually, I don't.
And I ain't gonna get on Troy knock knees.
Oh, I'm big knock knees. I'm pigeon toe McGee over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have. I'm good.
They got ostrich legs.
I'm good.
I'm pigeon toe McGee. I get that from my daddy, unfortunately.
Why Mel always trying to switch stuff up though? When the heat on him, he got to talk about everybody else's legs and his feet dangling and swinging off. I mean,
That's how it works.
accept that. Just accept that,
That's
bro.
how you supposed to do.
Just accept that.
Just accept it.
You know what I'm saying?
It's called being defensive.
It's not defensive. I know I got chicken legs. That's why I don't wear shorts a lot. But I'm secure in myself now, so I wear shorts, and y'all gonna get whatever legs I got.
I thought you was Hoochie Daddy McGee.
I am now. I told you I'm secure in myself.
Yeah, I mean, we still gonna laugh about
That's
it.
fine.
Wear whatever you want. Wear whatever you want. You feel me?
That's fine.
Yeah, wear whatever.
Yeah, I got my little shorts.
Right, little short, little. You got little.
Man, kick it off, man.
If I go one more inch on them seams, it's gonna be hanging out the bottom. I can have that.
Man, go ahead with this stuff, yo.
See,
Go ahead.
look, see how you do that?
Go
See how you
ahead,
flip
man.
that?
Ain't nobody trying to
See how
hear
you
that.
flip that?
Ain't nobody trying to hear that.
Look. Hey, what's going on, man? It's your boy Melly Mel, aka Melly Badass, aka Meat Mel, aka your favorite truth teller, aka if you don't want to know, don't ask me.
It's your boy T.I. Roy, your neighborhood hope dealer. If you need some hope, I got something you can borrow. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow.
What it do though? It's your boy Dr. Life Coach Lace, aka NBA old boy, aka I'm him, aka Mr. Big Shot, aka the menace no relation to Dennis.
Let's get it.
Did I
Troy,
mess up?
what's in that cup? Cause you over there swearing.
I don't know what this
It's
is.
your boy T.I. Roy. You
don't-
need some hope? I got something you can borrow.
I don't know what. I think it's Hiccabus. I don't know. But it's in the spout over there in the
So you drinking something with hiccupus in it? and you,
Kool-Aid.
right.
Kool-Aid
Oh,
is all
Man,
that
I
it is.
tell you,
I wanted
man.
to be extra cool and hold my cup as I talk, but
it
you know what I'm
won't.
saying?
It
I
won't.
won't.
It won't.
Hey, man, we back, y'all.
Yes,
We
sir.
We back.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
we
We
know,
back.
y'all. We know. We done got the messages. We done got the text
Yeah.
messaging and stuff like that. It took us a while. We've been a little quiet. We know. We understand.
Yes.
But, we back now. Life be lifing, man. I'm trying to tell y'all.
Life
bro.
be lifing.
Life be lifing, man. And we had to handle some business. But, we back. We getting back into the groove.
Yes,
so we here
sir.
for another episode. What's rocking? What's happening?
Nothing much, man.
Emotion, man.
It's been crazy lately, man. School's been wrapping up. Work and school been wrapping up all at the same time, and everybody wants everything at one time, bro. And so being able to having to master prioritization has been one thing, and that's part of the reason why we haven't been here, man. It's just a whole bunch of stuff happening at one time.
They be like that, man.
It be like that.
Yeah.
You
Work,
got a lot of me.
school, graduations, all kinds of stuff, man. Busyness, just busy.
I'm not going to no more graduations, bro.
I think I'm done with that too.
I'm done.
I think I'm done
People's
with that too.
like college graduation,
Bro,
Any graduation. Pre-K, middle school, high school, college. I think I'm done with that.
I'm done, bro. I got the god babies, and that ain't gonna be for another what
6
years.
Yeah.
And after that, man, I'm done.
Hey man, my niece graduated this year, so I'm happy to see that.
Okay.
So I will be
congratulations.
Well, she said she won't go into graduation. She just wanted to enjoy her moment. She hated school. I didn't even think she was gonna finish. I ain't gonna hold
High
y'all,
school?
bro.
High school?
Yeah, high school.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even think she was gonna finish. She was having a hard time just with the environment, not necessarily the work. But just like the kids, the system, and all that, like the structure of school. She was struggling with it a lot, so it didn't even look like at one point she was going to finish. She thought she might just get a GED or something like that and move on with life. But she decided to stick it out, push it through, and she actually did well her last year. So this was actually a good moment for
That's
her.
what's up.
So I'm happy about that.
This is like your birth niece.
Yeah. My
Okay.
sister's daughter, her oldest daughter. So also make me feel old too, because
I was about to say, I don't even.
18.
Dang.
Well, she'll be 18 this year. So
That's
she's
crazy.
17.
Yeah, man.
it's
Time
life
flowing,
is wild,
yo.
yo.
Yeah.
Life is wild.
Yeah, the
Dang.
celebrations and stuff like that, which is part of the reason why, part of the reason why I didn't think people were going to come for my housewarming that I did. I didn't think people would come because everyone's busy with something. And then also too, I ain't gonna hold you, like part of my mentality has been, everyone's too busy for me. But I ain't gonna hold you, man. I was thoroughly blessed when the homies pulled up.
Yeah, man.
When y'all pulled up,
Yeah.
and listen, I didn't expect much. I knew Lace was gonna come in, eat a chicken wing, and leave.
And leave.
And did.
I knew he was gonna do that. But the fact that y'all came through, I really appreciated it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate
Well,
it.
it's about maximizing the time that you're there. And we did that.
Hey,
We
we
did
did not look good as a unit though.
Why
and that's
didn't we?
Troy's fault though.
Why?
It's Troy's fault. Because he specifically hit us up the day before the housewarming
Uh-huh.
and was like, hey, don't be surprised tomorrow if I ask one of y'all to pray and one
Yeah.
of y'all to do the toast.
And it
So
got done.
I said no, but
And it got done.
No. See, so
No,
he got
what?
done, and I specifically he did this on purpose.
I
too,
did
though.
it on purpose.
He did it on purpose.
Yes.
because I
Okay.
said, all right, let Lace get a toast. And you might as well have me pray because
No.
Lace's prayers ain't making it past. The
First
ceiling.
of all,
No.
my
So you
prayer,
might as well
was,
let
my
me
prayer
pray.
was straight, bro.
He was like, you might as well. So then when we got there, and he was like, I'm gonna have Melvin do the toast and Lace do the prayer. I was like,
Exactly.
Troy.
I told you in
Troy,
the chat I wanted you to do the toast. And this is
No,
exactly
you didn't
why.
say you said don't be surprised if I have one of y'all. You ain't say who.
And the reason
See,
why
it's a life lesson in that. Because Melvin is I need to know the flow. I need to know the agenda. When I go up, how much time I have, etc. You know what I'm saying? Me just, hey, what you want me to do?
What you want me to
It's
do?
whatever.
Nah.
It's go get done.
I did no. Now here's the
He
thing.
did do that on
I
purpose.
told y'all what y'all were going to do. Y'all then tried to say, no, flip it. I said, no, I want it the way that it is.
You didn't say that.
Because I want Melvin to reach into his heart. See?
He
and
did
say
that on
something
purpose, yo.
heartfelt.
I told you he did it on purpose. If
I
you
did it
really
on
want to
purpose.
reach into my
Melvin
heart,
got
you
to
should
come
have
up
had
with
me
a
pray,
new story,
yo.
though. He got to come up with a new story when he talking about you.
What'd he say?
Like,
I just tell the truth.
I view Troy as a brother and all
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Man,
It's
nobody
true.
trying to hear that, man. Come with something new.
What you
Ain't
mean
say
come with
nothing about
something
my
new?
wife, but I appreciated every little bit of
Come
it.
on, bro. I gotta tell the truth.
Come with something new.
I gotta tell
Hey,
the truth.
Troy, the brother I never had, man.
I didn't
nobody
say that.
try to hear
I didn't
that,
say
man.
that.
And I
Big brother I never had. That's what he be saying.
And I specifically wanted Lace to do the prayer.
Knock it out the park.
No, he didn't.
Knock it
Because
out the
Lace
park.
is lying.
Knock it
yo.
out the park.
And this is exactly why I
Knock it
said.
out the park.
This is exactly why I
know,
said.
yo, I know
This
that went
exactly
straight,
why I said-
that went straight to the master.
No,
yo. That
this
went
is
straight
exactly
to the
why I
master.
said we should have switched. because we did not look good as a unit. Troy set me up to do the toast, and I told that story because everyone that was there had not heard that story. There was a bunch of people whose faces were new.
There was a lot of
so if it was the same people, so I had to tell the story by instruction to tell how I know Troy and stuff like that. So that's why I told the story. So Troy, I get nervous when I got to say nice things about people.
Yeah, you was shaking like a stripper.
Yeah, I know. So when what's crazy, yo, for real, what's crazy is when I'm on this microphone, I'm fearless. Yeah. I don't get nervous at all. I'll say whatever I have to say. It don't make me know, never mind.
Right.
But if I got to stand in front of 5 people and say something nice about somebody, I start breathing funny.
Oh,
my
yeah,
hands
you
start
was
shaking.
real
Somebody,
shook.
I'm like, nigga.
What's wrong with
but
this
if I was expected to roast you, I could have done that with no problem.
Right.
I'm like,
we
something
will
about
have
having
a
to
roast
say
eventually.
nice stuff about people just make me feel uncomfortable. I'm like, well, I got to say nice stuff about this. So I'm like, if you would have just had me pray, it would have been so much easier. Right? I would have got that.
Prayer
so
was
then
top notch.
I'm sitting there,
top notch prayer,
stuttering through the toast because I'm nervous. Lace stuttering through prayer.
I didn't stutter through prayer. I slipped up on one word.
Lace was stuttering through the prayer. Lace was trying to pray.
This how it go, Troy. This how it go. When you know for one take and you just able to knock things out, you slip up one time and that's what it is.
Lace was stuttering through the prayer.
That's the truth. If you mess up one time, that's
I slipped up on one word.
Now you slip up prayer.
Once again, Father God, we come to you, thanking you as humbly as we know. Like, come on, man. That's what it is, man. Stop playing with me.
No, I purposely wanted Lace to do the prayer because Lace specifically has been, I want to say pressing into his faith side. I think you've had to do that in the past year.
Yeah.
You've told me that you have been intentional about reading your word, making sure you're doing stuff, because I think you were working on you. I don't know exactly what the motivation is, because Lace don't tell us nothing personal about himself, and then he'll tell you something personal, and then he'll act in a different way. I was like, well, wait, you just told me this, but you doing this now. What happened from
First
A to
of all,
Z?
you act like I'm moving bricks across state lines or something like
that. We don't know.
And that's the thing. We don't know. We don't know.
Well, you know I can pray. So if anybody need me to pray, hit me up.
Don't do it, yo.
I'm available on weekends. I can travel to your bar mitzvahs, to your multiple housewarmings, graduation parties, and send one up for you. You know what I'm saying?
The last thing you need when you're trying to get deliverance is having the person praying for you stuttering. And that's what Lace was doing.
I did not stutter, bro. I stuttered over one freaking word.
He fumbled. I mean, he didn't fumble.
He did. You said it right the first time. Troy was trying to be nice.
He picked it back up and he ran off and he scored a touchdown.
Man, come on, man.
Come on, bro. See, Lace.
But who doesn't mess up in prayer?
That's what I'm saying. He don't mess up in prayer.
No,
but
prayer
can't say nothing nice to nobody.
I can't. I'm talking to God and talking to people, two different things, yo.
This is oxymoron.
Hey, talking to God and talking to people, two different things. Me and the Big G locked in. So if I would have been praying, I would have been talking upstairs. I wouldn't even have to worry about the people.
I'm pretty sure there's a scripture or some type of context that says, "Don't be afraid of their faces."
Absolutely.
So if you can talk to God, you can talk to people.
Easy
I
money.
mean, I can talk to people. It's just something about having to stand in front of people and say something nice about somebody else that makes me nervous.
But that I purposely wanted you to do that, bro, because one, when you have to say something nice, you specifically, it's gonna be heartfelt. You mean it. You're not doing any fluff.
You right.
And it's gonna come straight from the heart. And I'm trying to.
But I talk straight from the heart all the time.
I'm trying to.
It ain't always sentimental, but it's always from, you know what I'm saying?
Let's get straight. We know you talk from the heart all the time.
All the time.
We know that. I'm just trying to get you to get some other types of stuff out of your heart.
Yeah,
you can talk about.
Expand his palate.
Expand your palate.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
All right, man.
But it was fun. Family's hilarious.
It was fun.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
they didn't believe me when I told them you all are celebrities. Specifically to my sphere of people. Y'all are celebrities. Yeah. Are these your little podcasts?
Yeah.
TV?
Yeah, Grandma, come give me a hug and smell my neck. Come on over here, girl.
See?
All right now.
See?
What? Grandma showing love.
See how you do?
Grandma was showing love.
She was passing out hugs, though.
She was like,
good church
hugs. They were nice hugs,
Good
too.
church hugs.
First of all,
they were nice hugs.
My grandma's
they were nice hugs.
Y'all, that's how I know y'all lying.
She legit.
She's not an affectionate
Troy,
person.
she legit gave us
not an affectionate person.
She hugged me like 3 times when we was at the housewarming. I'm
Are
not even
these your
lying.
friends?
As soon as I walked in,
She gave me like 3 hugs. And then when she was leaving, when they was frying up your man from around the way that had the Cybertruck with the
that was
with
crazy.
the lawnmower hitch on the back.
who had a Cybertruck?
Somebody in their neighborhood.
Oh,
they took a picture.
got
He
you.
had a Cybertruck, but he had a lawnmower hitch on the back of
Hey,
it.
you gotta get the work
So
done.
this is actually funny. Because before you got there, Troy grandma was like, you the one that be on there saying the N-word, don't you? She was like, you be the one that be on there saying the N-word, don't you? And I said, you know what? So I do. Sometimes I do say the N-word when I'm up there. She was like, but you ain't the one that be up there cussing, is you? That's the other one that be cussing.
What?
She was talking about you. She was like, the other one that be cussing. And I was like, yeah, he be cussing. I just be saying the N-word.
So that's
I
why
said,
when
he
I
be
came
cussing.
in, she was like, "We can't watch y'all on TV."
She was like, I can't watch y'all on TV no more because y'all be up there cussing and saying the N-word, right? So I said, you know what? In honor of Troy grandmama,
Yeah.
I'm going to try to stop saying the N-word.
Well, in honor of his grandma, I'm not
And
gonna
you know what?
stop.
And
So,
guess what?
that's just what it is.
And guess what? Troy, so listen, Lace.
That's just what it is.
Listen, bro. So it's crazy. So she getting ready to leave.
Yeah.
That's when his brother then broke out the picture of the with the Cybertruck, with the Cybertruck and the lawnmower joint, and then Troy grandmama came over. She said, and they was like, look at this neighbor. And before I could even finish it, she said, "Now this is a." She said, "This is when you call somebody a nigga." And I said, "You know what? I'm gonna take that. So then before I left the house, I said, "You know what? In honor of Troy grandmama, I'm gonna keep saying it, but I'm gonna pick and choose when the right time to say it."
Pick and choose your spots.
It's
That's
like,
what it is,
yeah.
man.
So yeah,
That's
it was a joyous occasion, man. It's good to celebrate with people. So I thank y'all so much for coming.
Yeah,
out.
man. We back in it, man. We catching up. Everybody done seen Sinners. You know, we was gonna talk. We was gonna talk about that. We want to give it a little love. You know what I'm saying? Get a movie a little love real quick before we get into that real talk.
Spoilers.
Ain't no spoiler. It been out long enough. If you ain't seen it,
I know, but some people still ain't seen it.
if you ain't seen it,
I
it's
just
on
saw
you.
it yesterday.
I know, but if you ain't seen it, it's on you.
And
this ain't no spoiler.
I'm not gonna say I only saw it before the podcast. I really did want to see it, but us talking about it on the podcast motivated me to want to go see it even more. But I'm going to save my take on it last because I think it might go in a different direction. But I will say this: it was a good movie. It was a good movie, and a lot of people don't think this, but that's a horror film. I don't care. I don't care.
I really didn't think it was scary.
It is classified as horror.
I know what it's classified
A lot of things
as.
can be classified as something, but that don't mean that it's it.
That's what it was.
Nah, it wasn't a horror movie.
I just don't think it was a horror movie. If you have not seen Sinners, go see Sinners. Just go see the movie. Go watch it. Patronize it. Support it. One of the most selling black horror films in history. One of the best selling horror films in history, by the way. So just go see the movie, yo. And then tell me what you think after the fact.
As y'all said, it's not a horror film. It's the best black horror film.
I got to use the genre to talk about the movie.
But we're saying it was not
as scary as it was led on to
it didn't seem it didn't seem like horror at all.
Right.
Well, it was. Quality movie. This is one of the times where Michael B. Jordan, he got me. He got me. I think for him, and y'all say what y'all want to say. I think for him, he does a great anti-hero character. So with Killmonger, he was a great anti-hero. I'm not gonna say he was a bad guy, but he was a great anti-hero. And then in this movie, he was a great anti-hero. He just he captures the characters very, very well, showing how conflicted they are and how different layers, how layered they are as characters. So I really did love that. As soon as I saw the movie though, I was like, yo, when they was arguing over the money and stuff, I was like, that's Melvin Brown. That is Melvin Brown.
How you gonna make a business of people buying food with wooden nickels? How gonna make money people paying for food with wood? I just stole booze and they buying it with wood nickels. No, we need some money.
But it also goes to show too, knowing your personnel, right? So they had in the movie, obviously they had left for a minute. They back trying to, get a thing going, this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
But it's a disconnect with the audience to a degree of who they were serving. So they had this concept, but how you have to tailor your product to the audience in which you engage.
True.
So that's what I took from it.
What do you like? Explain that a little bit more.
So Smoke was trying to create this elaborate, expensive juke joint situation, like this
they had an
experience.
Right.
Forgetting that they were just small town country people who worked in the cotton fields, and basically the juke joint was their escape from the day.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't have a lot of money to offer. They didn't have a lot of, resources and things like that. So the juke joint to them was my escape from the cotton field today.
Right.
He was looking at it like, we trying to make this money.
Yeah.
Right.
We trying
Based
to get,
upon
you know what I'm
their
saying?
experiences outside of that
where they came
geographic
from.
location
Yeah.
where they came
So
from.
Smoke was trying to make money. Stacks was
He was trying to make money, but he basically was like be patient. Remember
Give it
who
some time. Yeah.
remember who we doing business with right now.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we
yeah,
not
yeah.
where we used to be.
that's what Stacks was like.
Yeah,
hey,
we
be
back
patient.
home.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
gotcha,
saying?
gotcha.
So Smoke was trying to move a little different, with the situation. I think there was a lot of symbolisms
Oh, for sure.
in the movie, some of which I could grasp right away, and some I didn't until after I read like the movie notes, like explaining, some of the symbolism after, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't recognize that. But a lot of the ones that were in there, I did like grab right away. Just like, for example, the concept of cookout. You're invited to the cookout. You know what I'm saying? Like every time a person, a white person, Asian, whatever it may be, whenever they do something that shows some sort of rhythm or anything like that, black people are quick to be like, oh, you can come to the cookout. You can come to the cookout. So then you're inviting people into the space that don't necessarily need to be there or have improper reasons for wanting to be there. And then it affects the entire group to the standpoint where now we all, in a terrible situation because you didn't hold true to what our community is. Basically, we created juke joint for us. Now you're trying to let everybody in there just because they can sing and dance, whatever like that. So just little things, like that, or from the concept of, we always talk about being allies and stuff like that with everybody, and how black and brown people are usually like closely aligned, with each other. But there's always this undertone where black people feel like black and brown are united until whatever's going on with black no longer serves brown, and then they focus on what is best for brown or whatever. So the kind of the same thing happened in the juke joint after like everyone started figuring out, vampires versus whatever. Yeah. And the Asian lady's husband got turned.
Yeah.
And once she realized this group is no longer serving me, she invited everybody into the barn. You know what I'm saying? But before that, when we was buying catfish and everything else from the, they was dancing, they was laughing, they was joking, whatever. But as soon as the situation stopped serving her, she started focusing on what was best for herself. And that's how everybody, got in the bar. So like little stuff like that, catching a call and all right away. But ultimately, I think the movie was legit. So
Yeah,
I did not. I mean, you framing it like that. I did not see that.
Well, yeah, it was all throughout. It was all throughout in a multitude of ways. Just how musicians are viewed, how music is a intersector, if you will, to other realms or other experiences and those kind of things. So it's definitely a large scale historical context to it.
The musical ensemble, I don't know if it's an ensemble, but the depiction of how music has connected us from our historical roots until now, like that was like real huge in the film for me, because one, I didn't expect it. I was genuinely expecting like us to be just in this timepiece the whole time. But the fact that one, this is a sci-fi, so you have a little play in which you can do whatever you want to do in a sci-fi. But the fact that he had some historical roots that connected us from our African roots even to modern day of how music has kept us alive, has brought us joy, like that was really good. That was really good.
Yeah, so go see Sinners, man. Support the movie. It's a good movie. It's not anti-Christian.
Yeah, I don't think
it's anti-Christian. A lot of Christians didn't want to see it because of the title of the name. They felt like it was anti-Christian, so they didn't want to.
But what's not? I mean,
that was my viewpoint.
And that's the thing. Like anything could be quantified as
anti-Christian.
Anything. Like it's just like we going off, and I guess maybe it's just how we elevate words, but not necessarily the meaning or the concept behind a word. It's obviously a movie is art. You know what I mean? We have actors. We obviously are putting out messaging, symbolisms, those kind of things. But it's truly how you apply it or how you view it holistically, how you take that in. Like it's just a title.
It's just a title. And I did not feel the anti-Christian. Well, okay, there was that one portion of the movie. Before I get to there, because that's the part that I wanted to say for last. I just want to look at the camera and let all my gingers know that I know y'all went through some stuff. Y'all ain't black though. I just want to put that on out there. You know what I'm saying? It's a movement on TikTok, Instagram, and all that stuff saying that gingers are black now? No. Just because we have similarities does not make us, and part of that, a reason why I want to say that is because I don't want to take away from your history, and I definitely don't want to take away from mine. So gingers aren't black. I'm gonna clip that up, and if I get fried up, I get fried up. Okay, I want to put that right there.
My boy died being controversial for a change.
But I do want to say that I mean, of course, there was that moment at the very end where Preacher Boy was being baptized, and you know the lead vampire was basically saying, you know, when the colonizers came to our country using Christ or whatever the case may be, and got us, you know, this is me trying to, I want to build my own kingdom in order to come back at them. I did not take it as being anti-Christian. That's anti-colonizer for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, just because a mode was used to do evil does not make that mode evil.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So even though Christianity was the mode that people from England and, I should say Europe, because Spain colonized a lot of people too, and France. Just because they were trying to do it, and they were, you know, they gave the people that they took this religion, it doesn't necessarily mean that the religion was wrong. Those people who did it were evil. They were evil.
Correct. I mean, that can be applied to any religious concept or belief.
Yes.
I mean, so as you said in other conversations, with liberty, you have to be able to understand and discern what is applicable, what is not. So anything that is meant for good can be used for evil, and that's just what it was.
Yes.
And it's a part of everybody's history across the board.
And I'll even say this. Okay, so computers are used. Hold on. Let me get my thought together. Let me get it together now. Just because sex offenders use computers to be predators on children, does that mean we need to get rid of computers now? Because they use computers as a mode to connect with these kids and get the child pornography and things of that nature. Should we get rid of the computers? Because that's being used. I mean, it's a good thing, but it's being used for a bad mode.
Yeah.
I hear this argument a lot. The boats, one of the boats' name was Jesus. Okay. I got a Mexican homie named Jesus too. You know what I'm saying? What does that got to do with anything? Right. Are you still on boats now? I see black people on Carnival cruises every single year. Love it, on the Lido deck, getting that burger from the guys. You know what I'm saying? I see it every single year. So are we gonna if you're gonna demonize everything, do everything. Don't just do it at the part where you it's just want to reject. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I do want to say this. So I do want to say that. So getting to the part that really hit me in the movie, I left the movie and I cried in repentance. I cried and I sat in my car and I cried like a baby, bro. And I'm not saying this to get any credit or anything like that. It was actually like a moment of repentance, and I felt, because one of the things that I said in my commentary about the movie, sinners was everybody in the movie. I'm talking about from the people at the Jew joint, the vampires, the people in the church. The only innocent person that I said was innocent in that movie was the baby that didn't make it. That's the only person that was innocent. I was really hurt because the pastor, Preacher Boy's father, said that you gotta let go of the music. You gotta choose either the music or God. And so many times I have seen the church make rules that were not outlined in scripture, and have put that on people as a burden, and kept them, and have hurt people because they've created this burden that people just can't bear. This man had a God-given talent to play that guitar. So why does he now have to choose between how come he can't use the guitar for the sake of glorifying God?
Sure.
And I need to do a little bit more research, but I do know back in the day that Jew joints were oftentimes demonized by the church, because it was like, I think maybe, you know, if you went to the Jew joint on Saturday, that means you won't come into church on Sunday.
And they still doing it now.
Right.
It's just called something else. Kickbacks.
Kickbacks, clubs,
whatever.
And the reason why I was crying, because I was like, God, I have done that multiple times, where I have created this law and have held people to this law, being basically a Pharisee, and I have excluded people who could have been in the kingdom. I didn't have a kingdom mindset.
Sure, right.
I wanted them to look like a certain way, in order to be in the kingdom. And the reason why the music piece was so big was because, you know, I still am a big hip hop fan. And when I got saved, I was like, I really still like hip hop. But, you know, this was at a time when music was at its high. Graduation dropped, Rough Riders was out there, Jay-Z dropped the Blueprint. I'm talking about, bro, that's when I got saved. And I was like, I'm gonna be at church on Sunday, but also when I leave, I'm gonna play this Blueprint.
Classic album.
It's a classic album.
And I don't think the Big G would be mad at that, because I mean, it's a classic album.
But
Just saying.
but it was put to me, I have to choose one or the other. Okay. And then on top of that, there were some guys who were using hip hop as a mode. This goes back to demonizing the mode. They were using mode to the mode of hip hop to deliver the gospel. And I was like, all right, this is pretty the beats won't fire, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, if I can't do the hard drug, at least let me, you know what I'm saying? So this was like my I don't know what the in between drugs that try to help people get off drugs, or whatever the case may be, but I used that. But then the church demonized that.
Well, I mean, and that's my case in point. From what was stated earlier, that's what the church does. I mean, think about it. You could go on a Sunday and you can literally see that throughout, how somebody is dressed, how somebody presents at church, what music they are into, or what they think about when Kirk Franklin dropped. All the old heads was like,
that ain't of God.
That ain't of God. This ain't it. Yada yada yada. Why are you trying to reach this particular demographic, etc.? It happens time after time.
Yes, and I feel as though by us creating these rules, we have. Here's the thing: sin is sin. You can't be sinning. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, and also, you can't make things that is not sinful a sin.
Right.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
And it hurt my heart, because when I saw Preacher Boy, he was like, I really want to embrace everything that's inside of me. You saw him quote 1 Corinthians chapter 10 at the very beginning off the top of his head. You know what I'm saying? And he loves his mom, his dad. And his cousins were saying, you need to do what your daddy doing. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the music was so inside of him. He was like, why are you making me choose? And it just hurt me to the core of my heart, bro. Right. And I was in the car just crying like.
I mean, even the symbolism centers that the book says we are all that. So you can find yourself in some aspect,
right?
And maybe not directly in the film, but that is what we are. So at the end of the day, it's how we choose to strive to meet the mark. Yeah. And that's the goal, striving to meet the mark.
And I think about all the great, not all the great. Now, listen, I'm not just trying to save celebrities or whatever the case may be, or you know what I'm saying. But how many awesome people have been turned away because we made something that wasn't a sin a sin? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes from that movie, and then we could move on in the subject. But in the beginning, he was working in the cotton field. He was up before everybody else. When the sun was starting to come up, he had already done the work.
Yeah.
He had already met his quota. So then when he went to go meet with his dad, the first thing he said is, like you always told me, get on the work. Don't let the work get on you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey, I snatched that drink.
That was good. That was good to you. That was good to you.
From now on, bro. I'm like, from now on, I'm getting on the work, bro. I ain't letting it get on me. Yeah.
I feel you. Give it up for Pastor Troy and his sermonette. Give it up for Pastor Troy and his sermonette on the movie center.
He was holding on to that one.
Bro, I was hurt because I've actually sat down, and I say this and I let it go. I've actually sat down with people. I sat down with people who said to me, "You can't listen to this. You can't because it's demonic." I said, "Okay, well, what type of music should I listen to?" They was like, "You should listen to quartets." I said, "Hell
first
no,
of all,
I ain't listening to no
First of all,
quartets.
you not gonna demonize quartet because quartet go hard, bro.
Lace love a little quartet.
Man, listen,
I love a little quartet.
And listen, I'm not demonizing quartet, but they were saying this is the only thing I can listen to.
I don't know why whomever said that, but you ain't gonna sit up here and say
Nah, because Lace like them blind boys from Alabama.
and do.
The first time I seen Lace do anything musical, I didn't even know you could play.
Mm-hmm.
But the first time I ever seen Lace do anything musical, he was leading a quartet. But he had a guitar though.
He be playing that bass though.
Yeah.
He was just rocking side to side like
That's
this.
it.
I
Yeah.
was like, all he needs is a shiny shoe.
Hit a note,
Hey,
Lace.
your
Hit a
boy,
note,
your
Lace.
boy is multifaceted.
Hit a note, Lace.
They ain't ready for all that. They ain't ready for all that. Time, place, and manner. But your boy is multifaceted.
They gonna Rance Allen out this mother.
Hey, go ahead.
Oh man,
Go ahead.
but for those people who have been, we talked about this before. You know, church hurt, being church hurt. You know, sometimes it's not really church hurt, whatever the case may be. But my heart was really hurting at that moment because thank the Lord, I was really grasped up by me needing Jesus. That these Christians who told me that I can't, that hip hop in its totality is evil. Now listen, everything has its evil, side to it. You know what I'm saying? Like the industry and stuff like that, which we will talk about in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
But everything has its evil side to it, but don't demonize all of it because some things can be used and redeemed for the glory of God.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
My boy on.
Sermonette dot.
But talking about the dark side of music, my man, two people.
It's a bunch of people. It's a bunch.
It's a bunch of people.
It is a
Let's
lot.
get into
Oh my
it.
gosh, it is a bunch of people.
It's a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Chris Brown got arrested.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
In
What
the
did he get
UK.
arrested for?
I didn't get to see. I saw it right before we came, but I didn't see why he got arrested. I just saw he got arrested.
But the crazy thing was before he got arrested, he said free Tory Lanez.
He did.
Right.
And I guess everybody wants to be sympathetic because Tory got stabbed up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I probably about 20 to 25 episodes ago, members of this podcast, which I won't say who, was pro Tory Lanez.
I am still pro Tory Lanez.
I never said who it was.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm pro Tory Lanez in this situation.
How are you pro Tory Lanez? That's what
because
I don't
don't just listen to random facts and lies from people and make an assumption and an assessment about.
But how do you know what is random and what do you know is a lie?
How do you know it's real?
Okay, how do we know that it's real? 2 eyewitnesses reported the real story of what they saw happen. Those testimonies were dismissed because they did not fit the narrative that was being presented in the courtroom, which was that he shot
the friend and the
right,
bodyguard,
which is that he shot Megan Thee Stallion, which 2 eyewitnesses had reported that they saw 2 women fighting and saw one woman brandishing a gun and one man trying to stop another woman from using the gun. He knocked the gun went off in addition, and he was labeled as shooting Megan Thee Stallion. They found no gunpowder on the man's hands. They ain't got no evidence that he was holding a weapon or nothing like that. Nothing points to him shooting her in the feet. But he was convicted of the crime because of the court of public opinion. Because people hear Tory shot Megan, and they get on their high horse about domestic violence and stuff like that, and then they consider someone guilty. So the court of public opinion had a lot to do with why he was convicted the way that he was convicted. And he was charged with a firearm that he apparently didn't even own. He wasn't supposed to be in possession of, but he wasn't in possession of it.
Well, if it's in the vehicle, they can.
I'm saying, but he wasn't in physical possession of it.
I understand that, but
I get the language of how the court system works.
Right, per the book. You know what I'm saying?
I get the language of how the court system works.
I do believe opinions did come into play a lot with that particular situation, just because of everything else that came out. Him potentially knocking both of them down, and a lot of that kind of stuff that came about. And just watching the documentary that I think it's on Prime that they produced with Meg. Meg was going through all of that. It definitely paints the picture vastly different in some ways, and the best friend, all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of different factors that come into play. But yeah.
We don't listen. I'm gonna tell you right now. We don't know the true story.
We do know
We
the true
don't
story.
know the true story because I'm gonna tell you why.
We know the true story.
We can hear everything as you just said.
Okay.
Why do we have a recording of Tory crying and apologizing on the phone?
Because he probably saw Sinners right before he called her, and then he felt convicted and
First
wanted
of all,
to say
Sinners
something.
won't even. Sinners won't even out.
But look,
he said, "I'm sorry for."
He said he was sorry for the situation because taking into account what was going on. Right, I put you through it. I smashed your best friend.
He could have been talking.
I thought he could have been talking about
He
didn't get on the phone and say, "I'm sorry for shooting you in the feet."
Right. I'm sorry for knocking down your people.
Okay. Well, I will say
Which
this.
is a crazy apology if you really think about it.
What's that?
I'm sorry for knocking down your people. Can you forgive me? Like, I'm sorry. I mean,
listen. And here's the thing: the people. If you got knocked down and you know I'm knocking down this other person, you can't.
Troy. Okay, so we say we don't know the true story.
We don't.
You say that. We know the story. It just doesn't sound like what people want it to sound like because they want him to be guilty that bad. The fact that Kelsey had to get immunity to not do anything or to speak in the trial says a lot about what actually happened. Why do you need immunity if he's the one that did it? And this is your homegirl, whether y'all got falling out or whatever it was, why do you need immunity if you didn't do nothing?
Okay. I think my argument is actually something else because I don't disagree with what you're saying. I didn't know all these facts. And if those are to be true, it kind of points in one direction. Okay, I will give you that. I think my argument is more so on the side of Meg was the victim and then was made the villain. Right. That's the part that
she was made the villain because she lied.
She didn't.
And when you lie,
she did it.
She did lie. Girl got on national TV and lied.
That did happen.
And lied.
About what?
Gail asked her directly, were you and him in a relationship? Were y'all having sex, whatever it was? She sat there and lied and said, no, we were not in a relationship.
That has nothing to do with it.
But it does.
It don't, though.
It does.
And honestly, did she lie for herself or for him? It don't matter
why she lied. See, that's the point about lying.
Somebody lied in this whole situation.
Yeah, and we know who.
You know what? Matter of fact, I'll say this. Everybody lying. And everybody's sinners.
No, one person's telling the truth.
They did watch the movie. Apparently.
Everybody's sinners.
Everybody's sinners.
One person's telling the truth, though. And two people are lying. And we know who the two people that's lying is. Neither one of them is incarcerated right now.
I would say this. Somebody does know the truth. I would say all of them know the truth. Mm-hmm. But none of them will reveal it. And I don't think that the person who got shot should be made the villain in this whole because one thing is she never snitched. She never said who did what where, and she did
because she said that shot me. Those were her exact words. That's a direct quote.
She ended up having to say that based upon.
She didn't have to say that.
She did though, because she didn't say that immediately. She didn't.
An N-word could be anybody. And
why did she not say it immediately?
An N-word could be anybody.
And why did she not say it immediately?
She was obviously trying to cover up for him.
Cover up for someone that didn't do nothing.
Again, we don't know.
we don't know.
She said Come on,
bro.
Know. Come on, bro.
We don't know.
It is a scientific fact that when you shoot a gun, you will have gunpowder residue on your hand for at least 2 days.
Which is true.
At least 2 days. None whatsoever were on the man's hands.
Circumstantial evidence.
None whatsoever were on the man's hands, and he won't wear gloves.
But the thing is, though,
that's
you don't know that. You won't. Mel's saying it like he was there at the party.
Well, see, when you pay attention, to facts and reports, and you pay attention to police reports and stuff like that, they have to release all this information.
But hear me out. We know that, particularly in our community, what you're saying is true, but it don't apply to us. So when we talk about, look at all the people who have had convictions overturned based upon DNA evidence 30 years later.
Yeah.
Based off of what somebody said or this, that, and the third, whatever. So we know that certain rules don't apply to us in these situations. So the first thing that he said, well, check my hands. No gun residue. Oh, that don't matter because this is what
which does matter.
But what I'm saying is the rules don't apply.
I get what you're saying,
to us
and I'm saying that's why it
scenarios.
matters, and not the court of public opinion. They had to change jurors a handful of times because they didn't want people that were tainted to be on the jury.
Which is wild in the first place because, like, even and I know we go transition talk about Diddy, but think about it. Opportunity to take a plea. I know that's what most people do in situations. In the world that we live in today, year of our Lord 25, do you think I'm going to risk anything to let 12 crazy motherfuckers listen to information? Like,
Come on, bro.
We got to figure
I ain't
this
taking
thing
no
out
plea.
in a different way.
I ain't taking no plea.
I feel you, and I appreciate the fact that you would stand on that.
Yeah.
But again, as I just said, 12 delusional motherfuckers.
I know.
Who don't have no law background,
Probably don't got no education.
formal education. They literally think about how you selected for jury duty. You literally get a letter.
You get a letter in the mail.
You do,
You do.
So do you expect me? And first of all, we've seen enough sitcoms to know people ain't trying to sit up in there and really listen to information when it pertains to being on jury duty.
Nah, some people take it seriously. Dot would take it seriously.
Dot would.
Actually, I shouldn't probably share this on, but I got one in the mail and I didn't even show up for that joint.
They just give you a number to call to see if you're supposed to show up.
Yeah, they give you a number to call.
And I forgot to call.
I got you. But nevertheless, you think I'm gonna risk that? Nah, bro. I mean, we gonna have to figure something out.
If I know I didn't do nothing, if I know I didn't do nothing, then I'm definitely not taking.
See, but that's the difference. You knowing you didn't do nothing, but giving the opportunity for someone else to make that decision for you is crazy.
That's
work.
what I'm saying. But to me, because I've been in this situation, so that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying. I did not. I wouldn't take a plea, and I did not take a plea because I knew that I didn't do nothing wrong, and I would have rather been thrown in jail standing on the principle that I didn't do nothing wrong than to take a plea and put myself in there.
No,
I'm not. If I'm going to go to prison, you're going to throw me in prison. I'm not going to put myself in prison.
I understand that totally.
I'm not going to take a plea.
What I'm saying is, to me, knowing I didn't do anything wrong, but also a jury of our peers who we know people don't read, can barely write. Like, bruh, that depending on the situation, if it's murder, like.
So you take a plea.
I'm not saying you take the plea.
I'm saying no. I'm putting it in
from
perspective.
A systematic standpoint.
You take the plea. You take the plea. You get convicted anyway, and you guaranteed to do time.
You guaranteed to do something.
Or you go to court. You may or may not get convicted. If you get convicted, there's always you could do less.
You're gonna do more.
You could do less.
Facts will show. That
I'm just saying that you could do less.
But
you could do possibilities. Yeah,
you could do less.
I won't doubt your possibilities.
Right.
So I'm saying
possibility is there.
I'm just saying you could.
But unless
you
it's
could
Johnny
end up doing
Cochran
less.
speaking for me, I'm Gucci.
I'm just saying you could end up doing less because you could potentially not be convicted of all the charges that are brought against you. So you could beat some, not beat others, and do less, depending on the crime and stuff in which we're talking about. So I'm just saying, like, again, in those situations, I understand people who are like, I didn't do nothing.
Right.
I didn't do nothing wrong. I'm not going to say I'm guilty. I'm not going to take on this guilt. And if that's what happens to me, that's what happens to me. But I'm not going to sit here and say, you know what I'm saying, just to please 12 people, whoever it is, like, yeah, I did that. And then now I'm going to sit in prison.
No. I don't want it to be misconstrued what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that is a major risk to take, knowing the type of people that we deal with on a daily basis.
I get that. And a lot of people take that.
And they have your fate in their hands, knowing how. I mean, Troy didn't even call to see if he needed to show up. So that's
and I get what you're saying, but it's also the same thing that you're saying is also why there are so many black men sitting in prison to this day.
Oh,
because
absolutely, there are a lot of
pleas,
the data shows that
the majority of them take pleas because they take
pleas because they're afraid of what you just said.
I don't know if it's afraid.
It's
of
literally what that's
I just
literally what
said.
they
I
say.
think it's the fact resources aren't there. That as far as and it's a fear of
doing more time. I'm gonna get more time. I don't
know if it's based upon my reasoning.
Most of it is the time. Like that's just reported. That's just reported. That's not my opinion. That's just what is reported. They take the plea because they get afraid of the time. They throw the time in your face. Like, oh, you looking at 33.
Right.
Take the plea, do 4. You like, oh, I'm gonna do 4 instead of 33. So you take the conviction, you take the time. Now it's on your record. Now you got a felony for something you may or may not have done because you was afraid of the the 33 years or whatever it was, instead of going through the process and going through, and some of it may be resources, but a lot of the people, are just a lot of people are just afraid of the time.
You talk about the jurors. I mean, putting your hands into a public defender.
That's what I'm saying. Like again, like if I know I ain't got the bread, and this is what I'm facing, of course you got to. That's a tough decision to process. But I just know the people that we deal with on a regular basis. I was literally in a meeting earlier today. We talked about definitions of words for 45 minutes. I'm going to leave that in the balance of mine who can't crack open a dictionary to understand the meaning. Nah,
so you're going to take the plea?
No, I'm not saying I would take the plea. I'm just saying that is a major factor to consider, like, regardless of what it is. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying take the plea, no.
So we talk about this, to say Tory Lanez got stabbed up.
Right.
And P. Diddy is also in jail,
too.
You
got to finish it. Because you about to move on. That's only half of the story.
Yeah.
That's only half the story.
And tell me the rest of it then. What am I missing?
He got stabbed. The conspiracy is that he was stabbed in prison because he had, before that, reached out to the Roc Nation team about new evidence that was being brought forth about his conviction, because Kelsey's bodyguard finally came forward.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
And said that he was going to tell the truth about what happened that day, because he was feeling guilty about holding on to it. And he said equivocally that Kelsey was the one that shot Megan and Tory didn't have nothing to do with it. And they were trying to introduce this new evidence to his case, to obviously his defense, to get out of it. And that was reported that after he did that, he was stabbed up. So it was attempted assassination. That's what they say.
They're gonna try to see.
That's what they're saying. But I don't know if that's the series or current occurrence of events. I know that it was reported after he was stabbed that her bodyguard came forward, was saying that he felt guilty and wanted to give his account of the situation. So I don't care which order it went in. If it went after he got stabbed and he had to say something, I think he's a hoe. And if you knew that, and you was holding on to it for no reason, you should have been said something.
Right, no, I agree.
You gonna let him go to prison knowing that he didn't do nothing wrong?
Yeah.
And now because he got stabbed while he's in there, now you feel guilty enough to say something because the almost died. But if he would have did the 10,
right,
and nothing happened to him, you would have lived with that.
Right.
You could live with sitting there and watching a black man be in prison for something that he didn't do, and you know the truth, and don't say nothing. I think that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, we can also say that the person who is the culprit should have came up and said something too.
She should have, but I'd.
But immunity is real.
I don't exactly, but I don't expect.
But that's how
a guilty party to come speak up on, like, to tell on themselves.
But the thing is, that's how you know the system is completely flawed. Somebody who potentially did it gets immunity, whereas somebody else goes to jail. Whereas somebody, I will give you less time. Crime is the same. You talked about modality of things. Right? Crime is the same. We both kill somebody.
I'll give you less time.
I can do less time
if I just say so. If I just say I did it.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Honestly, and I'm trying to figure out how I can say this appropriately. But just from like watching a lot of detective work, detectives are trash. Like, it's just like, yo, what do you be doing? Because like all this new evidence that come years down the line, and this, that, like, what was you doing?
How did you miss that?
Because the court of public opinion, people just assume that you guilty when they supposed to say that people are presumed innocent until proven guilty. People are assumed guilty until proven innocent.
That's true,
and that is what happened in this case. A lot of it was the court of public opinion,
right? And in that court of public opinion is sitting on
why they cut corners. You know what I'm saying? Cut corners with the process that they would have went through.
Yeah.
Because of the situation, is like, what I'm saying.
Even with the Diddy situation, right? He needs to go. Why are we even wasting time?
With the
Diddy
case,
he needs to go to jail, bro. He needs to remain in jail. Because why do? And you talked about re-victimization. Cassie, totally re-victimized,
and she got to relive that whole thing,
over and over again to tell her story yet again. And what jumped out at me is how, particularly when it comes to sexual assault, those kinds of things, sex trafficking, all that kind of stuff, how we as a people, we fall right in line with that systematic piece. Well, why didn't she just leave? Or why this, that, and the third? Do y'all not understand the stronghold that...
Right. No, yeah.
It is just like, yo, like, How can you be so opinionated about something? And I was actually having this conversation earlier this week, whereas we don't, as the human race, show appropriate empathy when we don't have a said experience. And that's really what it boils down to. I would never let nobody piss on me. I'm sure somebody has done some wild stuff to you that right. You were like, if you look back a little bit, you're like, dang, how did I let that happen? Or how did I find myself in this situation?
Right.
Just because it's not apples to apples doesn't mean that you shouldn't be empathetic or try to be understanding as to how this could occur and the overall impact of a thing. That is legit crazy. But how are you blaming her for not just getting up and walking out? It don't work like that if you are in an abusive situation at all times.
There's a whole study of abusive situations and why partners stay in the relationship because of it. There's a whole study of that.
But you talk about public opinion.
It is a court of public opinion.
That's what I'm
saying. In some ways too.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
just with this case as well.
I mean, in that case, are we court of public opinioning on Diddy?
I think that we actually saw video of him physically assaulting her. So then,
legit.
In that regard, I wasn't at none of the freak offs.
Yeah.
I can't speak on the freak offs. I know what they reporting because they have to put that evidence out there.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? I won't dare. But based on the evidence, a 4-day freak off is crazy.
That's wild.
You know what I'm saying?
Nasty
It's wild.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying?
You might get 1 or 2 about me, and then after that, I'm just tired.
2-day freak.
2-day freak. I guess though.
Oh my God.
How do you even conceptualize a 4-day freak off?
That's what I said.
How much freak?
Are you taking a break? Like, do you go do something? You come back? Like, what do you?
In, you know what I mean? How can I get my electrolytes up? You know what I'm saying?
I think the escort muddied the water of the case to start because the first day of trial, because of how Diddy's defense team handled the first day, it was like a small win for his team because of the information I was presented from the escort and then some of the questions that they were able to
what the escort
avoid. Basically saying like some of the calls that he received were from Cassie specifically to come and she was asking him to perform X and stuff like that. So it wasn't just Diddy coercing everything. He was saying that there was instances where she was making the shots or calling the shots, you know, in some of these situations as well. Like they were doing it together, not like he was forcing her to do everything that she partook in. So that kind of muddy the conversation. Obviously, we still have videos of all the other stuff that took place, and we could say he could pressure her power and all that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, there's obviously a power dynamic there.
So. But that doesn't. Could it also be true that she was calling shots stuff like that? Yeah, because it's possible. But I just from
the
that
preponderance
standpoint
would say though the preponderance of evidence would say that she was not. Because I mean, let's think about from a consent standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
We could get down today. Tomorrow, I may want to freak off. You don't want to freak off. If you don't consent, then I have assaulted you.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, even in that level of our understanding around what that looks like, she may have said, "Okay, I want to get an escort today, but I don't want to have a 4-day."
Yeah, I'm just saying.
So
I'm not absolving the rest of that stuff. I was just saying some of that.
I'm just saying as far as like how we as the court of public opinion, how people view things in a lot of ways. Well, so what if she did? He still took advantage of her in a major way. So we've, and that's the problem I think when it comes to a lot of areas in work and how we engage with people, just our overall mindset. We will hone in on a thing, but not look at the big picture. And that's the problem. Like, yes, okay, even if she did want to partake in something at this point, that doesn't mean that he has complete control to make her do anytime he wants, or any flying people in and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that ain't it.
Yeah,
that ain't it.
My a person text me and was like, they were like, I don't want to say who it was because it'll say who it is, but a person texted me and was like, we can't pray for Diddy, can we? Like in a sense of like Diddy is evil, you can't pray for him. And listen, and this crazy thing is I tapped into my lace bag. I was like, why not?
Right.
And they were like, well, you can't pray for evil. I was like, well, yeah, the situation happened, but you can pray that He's safe in jail. He.
That's not
That's
prayer
not
that I
the
would
prayer.
pray.
Hold on.
I was about to say the same thing. That's probably not where I was going to go.
Well, I mean, because I was like, you could pray for that. You could pray for he understands the weight of his wrongdoing.
Deliverance.
Deliverance. You can still pray for a person,
Yeah.
like even for Tory. Like you don't wish bad on people. You know what I'm saying? You want them to receive the consequences of their actions. You want justice in the whole situation, but you don't necessarily want a person to. I don't know. I just wouldn't want I wouldn't want to pray for someone's to be hurt in the whole situation because at the end of the day they are in there because they've hurt people. Sure. So we are lamenting over people who are already hurt. Let's just let them have their consequences. And let it be so. You could pray for a person who's going through, because here's the thing. I myself was going through.
Sure.
I was a sinner. They should have had me in the movie.
People forget that though. People act like they are absolved of these
because it's not theirs.
Because it's
right.
not, and that's why I said the empathy piece. I can't understand
right.
because I have not had this experience, or this experience has been adjacent to me. Even with a quote unquote prayer for Diddy. Sometimes even, okay, say for instance, if I prayed for Diddy, it would be around deliverance, but deliverance can be accountability.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't know how to connect dots, and that be pissing me off, yo. Like, just connect the dots, yo. It don't have to look black and white. It can look, I can be delivered, but I can also be held accountable for my actions.
Exactly.
Like, I don't understand how people don't grasp that, yo. Like, it just don't make sense. It don't make sense.
So I was like, I had to tell him, I was like, you don't have to pray. Because I was like, prayer for them doesn't look like that you pray that they get off. Mm-hmm. No, that's right. It's not limited to that.
There's enough of off. He don't need to use off no more. He done got enough off.
Yo, when they said my man's liked man juice rubbed on his nipples, I was like, hey.
See what I'm talking about? The case getting wild, bro.
This is too much.
The case getting wild because people just say, and some of it I just feel like people are saying the most outlandish things that they can say because of court of public opinion. I gotta
convince them.
I gotta convince them how terrible this person is by just saying
man juice. That's gonna make you say. That's gonna make you decide.
So it's like trying to paint a picture. No, it's like trying to paint a picture of how crazy someone is. My boy said,
"Oh, the man juice got me."
No, not me.
We can wrap this up. When I found out man juice was being passed around, we can wrap this up.
I'm just saying, like it's like when even like when someone's on the case for murder or something like that, like they have to paint a picture of how terrible this person is.
Oh, of course.
So then they go to every extreme possible to paint a picture of how crazy this situation actually is. You know what I'm saying? Like how crazy this person actually, you know what I'm saying, actually is. But I
go
think
to the YMCA and be like,
I'm back in the YMCA 25 to life.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go to the Y, I'm getting 25 to life.
Back in the day, he used to, push little kids down on the ground.
All of that.
I always knew he was different. That's how they would say it.
Right.
I always knew he was a little different.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, bro, but between Cassie having to relive the conversations and have those put on display in front of everybody, I definitely know that's a tough situation to deal with. But I think it also has to be equally hard for a husband to sit in that courtroom, and follow and listen to the proceedings and stuff like that. And I wonder how much of that stuff.
And she's like 8 months pregnant too, right?
Yeah, she's pregnant now.
Yeah, so it's
and they worried about her potentially going into labor.
That's what I'm saying. Like stress induced,
the stress of all that. But I wonder. I know they had talked about it because he had run in the domestic violence marathon. He ran in one of the DV marathons for her in support of her not too long ago. So I know that they had some conversations about her experience, but I wonder how much of this is new information to him.
Sure.
Sitting in that courtroom, and to just kind of hear all that at one time. And I wonder what that feels like to, maybe feel like helpless or something like that. Like you want to do something that you can't do or whatever. You just... Right. I just think it's a crazy situation.
No, honestly. I mean, it is. Yeah. It truly is. But hopefully, I believe that there will be, obviously he's going to jail. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, but I think that a lot of times too, some folks, like even if you look back at the R. Kelly situation, how many enablers were in place. And even with the Diddy situation, I don't have all the facts, but somebody could have like, yo, this don't sit right. This is regardless of, you know, power, et cetera, because I strongly believe that power dynamics do impact how people make decisions. We see that at work. We see that how people navigate life, how people take influence from others who ain't got nothing to do with nothing, but how that does come into play. So where are those people at? Not that they should be on trial, but where are those people that had opportunity to step up and advocate and do like, yo, this is going mad far, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so like that kind of thing. It's unfortunate, but and the other piece I'll say and leave it alone is the re-victimization. And this is why people do not come forth with their domestic violence, with sexual assault type stuff, et cetera. Because it's why would and I've heard people say, why would I go forth and say this happened to me when statistics show that people don't go to jail a lot of times for sexual assault, et cetera, and having to relive every aspect of, and they talk about, you know, sexual, you know, how they were sexually and stuff. That has nothing to do with consent going through a situation where you're getting pissed on and all this other stuff. That ain't got nothing to do with that, man. And we lose sight of that, and it's unfortunate. But as you mentioned, public opinion.
I understand. I'm just going to say I understand why people would not, or why they feel like they shouldn't. But I'm always an advocate that you should anyway. I always feel like you should come forward. I know it would be hard to talk about. You'd have to relive the situation or whatever. But just believing that someone's going to get off with something and never. Sometimes the deliverance for you is getting it off your chest and telling the truth. So even if it is hard or painful, whatever it is, I'm still an advocate for say something, because they're going to move on with their life. And if you keep carrying around that with you, you're going to be hurting yourself double, because now you can't even get free from the situation that you experienced because you carrying that shame or whatever you feel around with you instead of just saying something. You never know. You know, it's been plenty of, especially now, if we talking about cancel culture and whatever, you don't even have to have legitimate facts anymore. You could just put that on the internet. Right. And people going to be like, oh, that's what happened? Canceled? You lose your job, all type of stuff, you know, right away. So I feel like now is more a better time than any if you've had that experience to be able to speak your truth and say, and you'll definitely have the ears of the public with all the sensitivity around this, you know, this issue right now. So I just always advocate for that. But I definitely just in these situations about the court system, about people not going to jail and stuff like that, or not receiving justice, is how we end up in situations like with Rodney Hinton Jr. Where people stop losing faith in the system. And they start doing their own justice. I start finding justice in my own way because I don't believe that people are going to speak up on my behalf. I don't believe people are going to tell the truth. I don't believe that people who witnessed it are going to have the balls enough to speak up and stand firm on what happened, because they would try to protect themselves, whatever it may be. So then you have fathers who take situations into their own hands to seek their own type of justice. And that's what happened, you know what I'm saying, in the case of Rodney Hinton, because you know, it was reported that his son was killed by police in pursuit because he brandished a weapon or whatever it is. But when you look at body cam footage of the situation, they weren't even out there long enough to even display that he did have the gun and pointed it at the officer or whatever. It was just like a quick, I see somebody running, I'm going to shoot. That's right. And then it was reported, oh, he showed the gun to me or whatever. But no body cam footage can show in any direction that that's what happened. And it was told in court that originally when the situation happened, they allowed his dad to go to the police station to watch the footage or whatever. And he was there for a couple hours watching the footage back and forth to see what happened. And they said he left or was going to leave, but they didn't feel like he was stable enough to leave. So they called his family up there, and his family was there and saw how unstable he was. And they didn't want him to leave by himself because of how he was already responding to what he had saw. So based on what he had saw, obviously to me, that sounds like what you said happened didn't happen from what I can see. And now I want to do something about it. So because of how he was, they wouldn't let him leave by himself. So he left with his family first because they wouldn't let him, you know, drive off, whatever. So then apparently he came back to the police station again later that same day and then ended up leaving in his car again. And then that is when he went looking for, you know what I'm saying, a response. And that's when he found the officer that he ran over with his car, who had absolutely nothing to do with the situation. Right, but it was just like an eye for an eye situation because it's like, I know no justice is going to come to my son. Or I feel like that because of what I've seen. And now I'm going to just, you know, take the situation to my own hands. So I think that it's all those layers that we talking about.
It's
it's
multifaceted,
just,
man.
It's the differing situations in which the system affects us, whether we've done wrong or not. You know what I'm saying? It's just a crazy part of it.
Yeah,
Melvin, I have nothing else to add. That was very good.
That's real. But I mean, even too with the other situation that happened, I think in DMV area where the TikTok situation where the kid walked up to
trying to do the prank and the dude shot him.
Right, now he locked up for charged with 2nd-degree murder.
Mm-hmm.
You come up to my house at 3:00 in the morning, knocking on the door, trying to do a prank or a challenge, and you get put down, but I get locked up. Like the system just don't make sense in certain scenarios for certain people, and that's just what it is. We are told we can protect our house, right?
Right.
So you come to my house. I handle and not losing sight of obviously somebody lost their life, etc. But we're not talking about the concept of the stupidity as to why it went down that way.
Right.
So you do something stupid, I respond, but then I get held accountable for my response because you did something stupid to me in my space, etc. Like it just doesn't make sense, man. Doesn't make sense.
Hey, it's been a rough week for black men.
It's been a rough week.
Wow,
It's been
man.
a rough week, few weeks.
Yeah.
Let's just put it like that, man. It's
Yeah.
it's wild out here, man. It's going down, man.
That's what happened when the weather get hot, man. The weather change and it's like the flip switch.
Bruh, why is it like that?
It's like that, legit. When I was working at the institution in student conduct, I knew when spring came, it's about to be. I'm about to be swamped because that's just when everything pops off. Everything pops off.
You ain't got nothing to say.
I have nothing.
Because,
bro, I'm just so overwhelmed because you hit the nail right on the head. It's just like there needs to be justice, but the way that the system's set up, it's a great chance. You talk about percentages.
Yeah,
it's a better chance of me hitting the Mega Millions. What's that joint called? The Mega Millions Powerball. Than for me to get justice in the situation. And so people feel as though they have to take it into their own hands.
Yeah.
Man.
For sure.
I just want to know why it's acceptable for. So in that situation, right, police always show force with each other.
Of course.
Like we got to stand tall together or whatever. So when he had his arraignment, the courtroom was full of cops. Yes. Everyone showed up to, intimidate him in the situation, whatever it was. But they wouldn't let his family come forward. To be, to be able to see him without causing, a problem or whatever like that. But it's acceptable for them to flood the courtroom and have no connection to the case. But his family can't because of, I'm not condoning what his act was. I'm just saying, regardless of what he did, that has nothing to do with them. And regardless of how you feel about him, his family is still over there, though. And they feel a certain way about him. And imagine how they feel losing a son or family member, whatever that may have been to them at that time. And to see him on the other side of that glass in pain from that situation, but you telling me I can't go up there, but all y'all can stand around, you know what I'm saying, and try to intimidate this person. And I'm not gonna say I saw myself in the situation, but that first arraignment when he was walking out the courtroom and he like held his head up, looking everybody in the eye as he was walking out, because they were trying to intimidate him. Right. And he basically was like, "Y'all not gonna shake me in this situation because you know what I'm saying. I'm standing on that. I felt that in my whole soul because I wouldn't even know how to act as a father if I felt like somebody did something to my son and I couldn't do nothing about it. Right. Like I just feel like it would put you in a different headspace. And I don't think anyone is. I'm not gonna say anyone. I don't think that most people are considering that aspect of things. Like we give people space for every other thing. Just like they're not apples. It's not apples to apples. It's apples to oranges. The comparison that I'm about to make, but we can empathize and understand Cassie's situation about what she was going through and how that could have affected her mind and the decisions that she made or didn't make based on the pressure that she was getting from Diddy and some of the other situations that she was in. But we can't understand a father who felt like their son was snatched from them. Right. Doing something that they probably wouldn't have done, you know what I'm saying, to begin with. And then we rush to demonize them because we esteem uniforms or whatever it is over the humanity of a person. And I think that's, the issue that I be having a lot of the time. Oh, absolutely. With everything. It is just how we pick and choose when we want to be empathetic.
That's the American way.
People about certain situations.
And that's what's so unfortunate about it. Because as you mentioned, they gonna come together regardless. As far as with this, with the Rodney situation, but it's sad because again, it goes back to, and Mel might be a DEI consultant for real, because he really be talking to it without talking to it. So when you talk about aspects of belonging, right? We talk about wanting to belong. That's why there is no connection, because people don't try to understand what somebody else is going through, and that is a part of a diverse experience, diverse understanding, being inclusive in understanding, etc. So it's a broad stroke of the brush, but it really falls in line with that. People just simply pick and choose what they feel is should be elevated to a level of care and understanding, and what's not. And unfortunately, the experience of a lot of Black and brown people just don't elevate to that, and that's just what it is.
It is what it is.
I don't think I'm a DEI consultant.
You are,
I
bro.
can see why I can see why you feel that way. I think the only it's like a small difference. You know, like with denominations, how we have a small difference of belief, and that's why we have like Baptist versus not. And my only difference with diversity, equity, inclusion is I don't personally believe that I need to understand your experience to be empathetic, where other people are rooting the experience in understanding. Where you like, if we just took time to understand, you know, what someone else is going through, whatever it is, that could help with a lot of conversation. And I do think that is true, but I'm also of the belief that I should just be able to be understanding without necessarily having to understand.
And this is why you were such a. My work has been so.
He think it's his work. And this is my personal belief.
My work.
He think it's his work, and it's my personal belief.
Has been so. I'm so enriched by this.
You have not done no work.
Right.
I'm just a decent human being.
I don't have to understand your experience to be empathetic towards it.
Right.
I don't have to do that.
But a lot of people feel like they have to be understood.
But imagine if I increase my level of understanding, I could be more empathetic, and I could help shape the situation differently, holistic. I don't have to operate from a culture of humility. I don't need to understand your experience.
Yeah, that's all I be saying.
That's facts across the board.
That's all I be trying to say.
That's real spill. But imagine if I did just a little bit, how that could shift the complete narrative and how I approach even how I operate and be a decent human being. Not saying you gotta go to rallies and wear T-shirts.
I'm not saying that. I'm just a decent human being.
That's real.
I think what happens though, Lace, is that okay. I don't need to know your background in order to support you or have empathy and stuff like that. But the part I think you mentioned it. The moment that you say, respect me, XYZ, and also come to my rallies and stuff. It's like, hey, I don't need to do all of that. But if I don't go to your rally, then I'm no longer an ally.
That's not true.
It's not true, but
it's
that's how people. But that's how people will treat you.
But if you're operating from a space of perception, then sure. But for me, and what I do, I don't need to necessarily show up to a rally to show support.
Right?
Because if I'm sitting at the table having the conversation, talking about the experiences of others that may be in said category, I'm doing the work. So a lot of times we show support by who we see who's present. That's not necessarily always the case.
If I can,
you can, because I'm gonna say it anyway.
If I can. Lace, you are by far probably one of the most rational people on this topic. And we saw. Hold on real quick. And we saw. And we gotta get up out of this episode too, by the way. You're probably one of the most rational people on this topic. And the reason why I say you're one of the most rational people is when we did the DEI clip and you laid it out line by line, the crazies that came out of nowhere. Well, you forgot about this person. You forgot about people who don't have left pinky toes. You forgot about this. You forgot about that. And that is where it gets a little wonky. And the reason why people don't want to give into it. And listen, I'm DEI because I am the D in DEI. I am the diversity. That's what I am. The problem is it has to be rebranded because for some people it's a slippery slope. The moment that I step out on this ice, I'm going to slip up and I'm going to fall. If it was the way that you described it and people would adhere to that, I'm with it.
And that is why I don't necessarily adhere to DEI and stuff like that.
And the thing is, you don't have to adhere to it. It's everywhere. All
I
that
know.
we do. Can I respond?
Go ahead.
Can I respond? So,
and let me say this one more time. You hit the nail right on the head. But people came out the woodworks and demonized the good work that you were trying to even do.
But the thing is, ask me if I care.
No. I know you don't care, but we do.
But the thing,
I don't.
No, the thing is,
I legit don't.
The thing is, no, and when
I
say,
literally don't care about what people think.
When I say care, it's not the fact that I feel like I got to go back and forth with somebody around something or whatever. Because for me, I know that any aspect of diversity is a spectrum. So the fact that I didn't verbally say this or that in talking about a concept or a definition, that doesn't mean that you're excluded. You're included in what I'm saying.
It's a broad
Just the fact
brush.
that it wasn't stated
Because I can't name every single specific instance.
That doesn't,
right.
Because when we talk about diversity of experience, diversity of thought. I mean, think about even socioeconomics, that all the things that make us
diverse,
our experiences, etc. All of that matters. Just because I didn't say black, white, gay, straight, queer, whatever, that doesn't mean that you're excluded from the conversation. But that's why the work stalls, because people focus on, again, singular, not what we're looking at from a large scale standpoint. So I'll continue to let those people play checkers while I play chess over here, and I'm good.
Oh, well,
and that's just what it is.
I hate to say it though, Lace. The people who are playing checkers are louder than the chess
That's
players.
fine.
And that's fine. They can be loud, but loud doesn't always mean progress.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. The good work that you're trying to do, the loud people are keeping people who are fringe, who are like, what is this thing? The louder people stand out, and it's like you can't convince other people to jump in.
And that's the issue. What I be trying to say.
I think that's what, when we look at it, obviously it can be focused on from the words DEI or whatever. But that's with anything. Think about how your president, what he does.
Why gotta just be mine?
Because I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You lost me.
I didn't vote for him.
Man Juice took me out.
Man Juice took me out. We can wrap this up. I'll be sitting there drew about.
We gotta get out of here.
But no, what I'm saying is how people truly buy into. People are afraid of knowledge and understanding. Like people do not want to understand. People want to have conversations and get on certain bandwagons based upon a concept, public opinion, etc., without actually doing work. Like I said, I within my consulting piece, like I said earlier, talking to a group of people today, we're talking about literally executive orders in the law. The first question that comes out, I can't say woman. I'm not here to talk to you about words that you can say. I'm not here to talk to you about that. I'm here to talk about how we can shift the practice.
We had this conversation previously. And I told you the issue that people have with DEI is that it has not been branded well. And the people who know what DEI is do not do a good enough job of putting on...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
They don't do a good enough job of putting on display what it is. So people's understanding of it is misrepresented because of what they perceive it to be. When you know the truth, and the people who actually know, where you say not convincing, the people who know are not doing a good enough job to put the real or proper information about what DEI is on the table. And that's why we have stupid conversations about, I can't say woman, can this person be pregnant, blah, blah, blah. Like, so if it was better branded, I think some of these conversations would be a lot easier to have, and there would be more, quote unquote, understanding of other people.
Now, I do agree that there could be better branding, because a lot of times people are just put in roles because of they're melanated or they have a diverse experience or whatever. We've seen that happen. What I'm saying is, and I've said it before, if you create enough confusion around something, it will make people not try to engage, even try to understand.
Yes.
So let's think about it from this lens. The executive orders came out, right? All it says was, and this was at the federal level, a lot of people don't even know that executive orders aren't law. So when you go into a workplace and it was like, oh, we have to adhere to the law. No, that's not what an executive order is. So what I'm saying is people have no understanding of general concepts of how things operate. So there can be that level of confusion. But if I see a list of, because it's been multiple lists that have been shared, trigger words, these words are triggering to people. Woman was one of the words. So you mean to tell me I'm going to waste my my thought capital on explaining to you why that can be utilized or can't, because you found a list online, and just because you see things from the federal level? We don't work for a federal agency. So some of this is not apples to apples in how it applies to how we need to think about the actual work and practicing the work. So I understand what you're saying. I think some of it is that people just simply don't strive to have a better understanding to approach it.
I think that's a great place to go ahead and wrap
He's
this
trying to
up.
wrap it. He's trying to kick us out of here.
Yeah.
This is my pod. I'll talk as long as I want.
This is our.
Yeah.
This is our.
Inclusion.
Exactly. Include me. In the midst of this diversity of thought.
Right.
All right. Well, it's your boy T-Dot Roy, Life Coach Lace, Melly Mel with the Manly D's podcast. Appreciate y'all jumping in. We'll check you out next time. We out.